Yeah, checking 1 2 1 2
1 2 1 2.
Chiefs, chiefing, chefing.
I love that commercial.
Which one? The
Chiefs with the chefs.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally.
But who are the chefs?
The best commercial is that the Peyton Manning one where he's like,
"Will you sign this for my brother? This bread for my brother."
He loves you, and he's like, "Good job today, guys. Salad bar was great."
We don't get the good commercials up in Canada.
Where are you from in Canada?
Kitchener. It's an hour west of Toronto.
Oh, okay.
You guys ever
Cool.
played? No, you guys haven't.
Well, no, not there. We spent time in Toronto. We made a video there.
Which one?
Emily. Do you know that
way
song,
back when,
Emily? Yeah, back in the day. So we did the Emily video there, and that's when that's the first time ever in the history of my life or yours where we saw two girls have sex together.
That was pretty
No
weird.
way.
Yeah.
At a strip club or just randomly?
Now, well, sort of. It's a good story, but it was paid for by our A&R guy to congratulate us on making a video, and it was weird.
It was weird.
It was weird looking.
Right, wasn't it west of Toronto where we played the worst show ever in
Brandon, Manitoba.
Oh, no way. Cold up there.
They just kept on asking us to play Metallica.
Isn't that what it was? It was Brandon,
Manitoba.
Where is Brandon, Manitoba? Where is that?
Far north.
Was it
near Minnesota, kind of?
Was it Brandon or Barrie?
No, Barrie.
Oh, Barrie. Yeah, Barrie's an hour north of Toronto.
Okay, that's where it was, and they kept on asking us to play
But we've
Metallica.
played Brandon, Manitoba, though, before.
I don't remember.
I know we have. No, it's the last show we played on the Gob tour.
Yeah.
And then we drove straight south to Fargo, and we were stranded, and you guys went and did laundry.
Yeah. Then we went swimming.
Right. It was fun.
Well, that's cool. Good
Okay,
story.
so this interview has started.
Yeah. I heard when you started the band, you wanted to sound like a punk rock Beatles.
Well, here's the thing, that was sort of a quote that got away from me, I think. I think that would be great to be a punk rock Beatles, but the idea was, so when this band was first started, the first guy asked to be in the band was Eric, because he was such a good singer, and I was really jealous of his voice, and I thought, man, it'd be great to bring him in and sort of do this sort of 1-2 punch, like singing thing, where we sort of switch off and yada yada. So back then, when we thought we were a punk rock band, that was kind of the idea. Like, we'll have two lead singers, and we'll write really cool songs where we incorporate both things. Little did I know musically that the Beatles, there was more to the Beatles than just two singers.
Yeah.
And I found that out a little bit later, and I also realized a little bit later that we weren't punk rock. So it was kind of a hard couple of years for me. A lot of lessons learned. Why not to pee on an electric fence? Bowling for Soup is not punk rock. And
what are you?
If you drink Coke, don't swish it in your teeth. That's a good lesson.
Right, don't do it. It just it foams up real bad.
Don't swish Coke.
That sucks. We're a rock and roll band, We're a rock and roll band, and it was a few years into it where Eric and I sat in a bar in Wichita Falls, Texas, and he told me, he's like, man, the band sounds like your voice, and you're writing the songs, so you should just be lead singer. And I was like, man, I'm uncomfortable with that. That's weird. And then about an hour later, I was really, really hammered, and I was doing some Guns N' Roses on the karaoke, and I was like, okay, I'm going to be the lead singer, but I don't want to stand in the middle. And so I didn't stand in the middle for like the first 5 years of the band, but now I stand in the middle because that way I have access to both Chris and Eric's asses with just a few steps.
Well, that's nice. Let's start the show off with a song. Any song off any record. What do you guys want to hear? What do you think?
Is it one of our songs?
Yeah, one of your songs.
I don't know. I guess sort of one of the big band favorite songs is not a funny song, but I guess a song called Star Song. Maybe that's a cool one.
Yeah.
We put this song on 2 records. We put it on the re-release of Drunk Enough to Dance. When we came, our second single for Drunk Enough to Dance was a song called Punk Rock 101.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a bit. But this song was on that record, and it's also on a album called Bowling for Soup Goes to the Movies. So this
The new one, yeah, we'll talk about that too.
This is the Star Song, and it's a great song, and it's right here, right now.
You guys made it huge in the UK first, and then it started to happen in the US.
Yeah.
Is that weird for you guys? I mean, to not even be from, to be from Texas and then get blown up in the UK.
Yeah, it was really strange for us, and in fact, it was weird because we were sort of over there while it happened. I mean, we went over to the UK on a whim. We had gotten one of the promoters of the Reading Festival saw us at South by Southwest after our first single on Jive came out. It's a song called The Bitch Song. And we were playing a show, and the guy saw us and thought we were funny, and he was just like, hey, we're going to bring you to the Reading Festival. And we were all like, okay, woo, yeah, that sounds great. And then our manager called us up and was like, have you guys seen the website to the Reading Festival? This is kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, from there, it just sort of snowballed into this nobody band going over to England and doing the Reading Festival. And we went over and did it, and it was insane. I mean, literally, like, we played this, like, the second smallest stage, I think, of the whole day. And there were people as far as you could see, like, outside this circus tent. It was really weird and just strange. And 6 months later, we were over doing our own headlining tour, and you know, our videos were on TV, and it's really weird.
It was a real feeling.
Reality check, though. It's like go over there and play these huge shows, and then come back home and go on tour with our friends' bands, and again, it's us playing to the bartender.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it was kind of a weird time.
Yeah, in anticipation of of Drunk Enough to Dance coming out, actually, the British press sent over all these journalists to go on tour with us, and like, they would be like, okay, so we're going to have all these accommodations for these journalists and yada, yada, yada. We're like, oh, you can just put them in the van with us, you know? And so these journalists were just blown away by the fact that we were still in a van, and every night we would get a hotel room, and some of us would sleep in the van and some of us would sleep in the hotel. And they were just blown away by this, that we were still road dogging it over here, and over there we were just huge, you know? I mean, it was like we were, you know, insane, like
over
in
there,
every magazine.
not being able to go into McDonald's and
and over
Really?
here,
Yeah.
and over here,
That's pretty cool.
not being able to be served in McDonald's. You know, so yeah, it's definitely weird, but it was cool too, because as things started to gel over here, man, you really appreciated it a lot. I mean, it was a lot of work, you know, for things to happen over here, and so it was cool to go and read what they said, you know, about how huge we were over there, and about how literally we played shows with magazines who had spent tens of thousands of dollars to get someone over here to come interview us and take our picture, and we would go to play a show and there would be 3 people there. I mean,
That's crazy.
it was insane, and you know, the whole time we'd just be like, yeah, we don't really know what's going on. I mean, we kind of do the same thing both places, but you know, there you go.
What do you think is about the UK crowd that it worked for them first?
I think there are a lot of things about that question, I think, that makes sense, but in the UK, everybody is very, very serious. Now, they're an awesome music country. I mean, their music is such a part of everyday life, but everybody's real serious. Like, musicians are serious, the scene is serious, tours are serious, shows are serious, everything from, like, the marketing of a band, everything is just this real calculated, this is the way it's always been, this is the way it's going to be thing. And we were such the antithesis of that. Like, we came in and we're just like, look, yeah, I mean, you know, we're overweight, we really don't care, we're funny, we're going to sing about whatever we want, we really, honestly, really don't give a shit. But it wasn't that I don't give a shit like we're going to throw a TV out the window, though we will.
and how.
It wasn't that kind of thing. It wasn't a deal of like, we don't give a fuck about you. It's like, yeah, we care about you, we care about everybody, but we're just having fun.
We're here to tell fart jokes.
And people literally, I think, saw that sooner than they did here, and were just like, oh my god, and they grabbed hold of it, and it worked. And now, I think now in the United States, people are seeing it. They're like, you know what, these guys released 9 records, and they're still exactly the same. I mean, like, we are exactly the same as we were in 1994. When we released our first album, you know, and we will continue to be. Like, there's a lot of bands that are growing up, but we're not going to be one of them, you know.
Talking about Blink?
I'm not talking about anybody in particular, because I think everybody should evolve into whatever they want to be. And I think if, you know, it's like sometimes bands grow up and it works, and sometimes bands don't want to grow up and it doesn't work, and sometimes bands want to be taken differently than what they really are. And it's like a lot of times, I think the biggest example is the fact that so many bands that are in our genre get on pop radio, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, we don't want to be a pop band, we want to be a rock band. And it's like, you know what, just put out your stuff and don't worry about it. And they get so bogged down on it that they lose who they are and what they set out to be, and we don't care about that.
I think we're kind of in the band to, you know, be Toys R Us kids and kind of stay young. It's like outside of the band, we all have things that are going on in our life that we're growing up about, but like the band is our our Neverland, if you will. You know?
Yeah, that's a great. I think that's just it, and it's like, and we are who we are. I mean, we're Bowling for Soup. It's like, you know, when I go buy a Bad Religion record, I just hope to God it sounds like Bad Religion.
Definitely.
You know, and it's like it's like if Bad Religion all of a sudden just decided that they were gonna, like, I was gonna be able to understand what the hell he was talking about, I would be so disappointed.
Yeah.
I like not knowing what the hell he's saying. Like, that's part of it for me, you know. And I think there's no specific examples of what I'm saying. I mean, I think that Blink-182 growing up, I think was due, and I think that I actually thought it was a smart decision for them, because obviously it was the beginning of the end, and I think they all knew it, and they wanted to put out the record that they wanted to put out and evolve into, you know, whatever else they wanted to go on and do in their lives, and I thought it was genius myself, and I
love the record.
I
It's an
loved
awesome
that
record.
last record. So no, I'm not knocking them for growing up. I just think that because Blink-182 grew up, because Green Day grew up and became this now, you know, Green Day are freaking U2. You know what I mean? They're the
Exactly.
biggest band ever. God, and God damn it, more power to them. I mean, I've been listening to that band since 1989. You know what I mean? Like,
way back, like, you were
yeah,
born stuff.
like I mean, like 7
10,000
inches
smoothed
stuff.
out, slappy hour.
Yeah, before it was that, like,
Right.
we had Gary and I had the 7 inches of that, but when Gary was 12 years old, we had 1039 before there was 1039 smoothed out slappy hours. I mean,
Yeah.
when they were just 7 inches, you know, and I just used to just absorb it all, you know, and now they're the biggest band ever, and it's great.
Do you miss that, having vinyls?
No, I don't. I think fucking iTunes is the greatest thing that ever happened in the world, you know?
We actually just talked about that. Like, Jaret and I are, we like the new stuff. We want air conditioning in the cars and all that. You know, it's like, I like CDs. They sound good.
I mean, I bought 7 inches because it was the only way I could get music that I liked. You know, I mean, like, I didn't buy it because I didn't have a cassette player. You know, I didn't have a vinyl player in my car. You know, I like being able to have a CD. Like, I like the fact that I have 8,800 songs on my iPod and I can listen to pretty much whatever I want on my car stereo. I think it's great. I like technology. I like the future. You know, but the future of Bowling for Soup is we're going to stay the same. You know.
Oh, I like how you brought that back right there.
You do,
Yeah.
right?
A good turn back around.
I don't know if you're listening to this interview and you haven't realized this yet, we are freaking great at being interviewed.
Maybe it's just the interviewer.
It could be
You
both.
never know. I wanted to talk about Girl the Bad Guys Want, Limp Bizkit, Unnecessarily Angry Bands, and that's what the whole song's about.
Sure.
And the whole genre of that has kind of died.
And thank you for noticing that too, and thanks for knowing that that's what the song is about. Like,
Oh, I mean,
so
it's great.
many interviewers are like, "Who is the girl the bad guys want?" It's like you're sort of missing the point
Yeah.
of the song, you know. I mean, so thanks for knowing that.
Do you hate bands like that? I mean, I liked them at the time, and now looking back, I'm like, why did I like that kind of
No,
music?
we didn't dislike any of that. What we disliked, I think, more. I mean, we don't really dislike anything, but I think what the song was about more than anything is just people, which I think so many of our songs are about, is people trying to be someone that they're not, you know? Like, I just think it's funny when a bunch of suburban kids who have really, really kick-ass equipment and a new van and a new trailer that their parents bought for them, like, sing about how they're angry at their parents and they hate society and yada yada yada. It's just like, man, just be real. And I don't. In fact, I'm a Stained fan. I think he writes amazing songs. I really do. I mean, I don't buy his CDs, but when I hear it on the radio, like, I just absorb it and I'm into it, and I just think it's great. His lyrics are amazing. It's so real and so heartfelt. It's cool, and I'm into it. I don't think I ever got Limp Bizkit. But I wouldn't say that I hate Limp Bizkit. I understand there's a place for everything in the world, you know. And I remember when Limp Bizkit were like it was like, I remember this when this hip hop rock thing was first starting to happen in Denton, and you'll remember this too. And like, it was just all starting to explode. It was like the Deftones and Limp Bizkit are the greatest bands ever, you know. And the Deftones sort of kept their coolness, and Limp Bizkit became the biggest band in the world
That everyone hated.
that everybody hated. And it was like, you know what? Like, to me, the Limp Bizkit thing, more power to them. That's like Creed. You can talk all the shit you want about Creed. You absolutely... Can I curse on this?
Yeah, that's
okay.
internet too, so.
You can talk all the shit you want about Creed, man. I mean, just seriously, say whatever you want. But honestly, I think those guys are the smartest dudes ever. They made millions and millions and millions of dollars putting out songs that we would all hate. But somebody likes them.
Yeah.
Scott Stapp has a freaking platinum album right now with music that literally makes me want to kill myself. However, more power to him.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, hey, I'm sure he probably hates us too. He hates everybody, though, right?
I think
He's an
so.
angry guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to handle alcohol either. Unlike you guys.
Yeah, well, I do.
Well, let's play Girl All the Bad Guys Want, and we come back on start with the Grammy nomination.
This is Grammy-nominated Girl All the Bad Guys Want by Bowling for Soup and Scott Stapp.
Now, you got the Grammy nomination, and you had a baby on the same day. That must have been the craziest fucking head trip of all time.
It was the craziest day ever, and I think it was weird not only just for me, but like for everybody, because it was a real weird day. I mean, like the day started out obviously pretty early for these guys because we had gone to the hospital to have the kid the night before because we had to induce. We were in the middle of. I can make this story longer and way more interesting just by telling you the like the leading up to story, which I usually don't tell. But we had Simple Plan on tour with us in Texas, opening up for us. Right. And I mean, these guys were about to blow up. They're on MTV, but they're opening up for us in Texas. We're about to take them to England. Like, this is huge for us. And we're thinking, well, you know, hey, what a great tour. I mean, we're taking around showing this band that's about to be bigger than Jesus to all of our fans. I mean, here we go.
Pretty cool.
So, in the middle of that tour, we go to the doctor, my wife and I. He's like, your blood pressure's through the roof. You got to go in the hospital tonight. You're having this kid. She's freaking out. Hey, you got to cancel shows. I'm like, I really don't give a fuck about the shows. Let's go have this kid, you know? I mean, this is life, you know?
Yeah.
So we cancel these shows, yada, yada, yada. We go into the hospital that night. These guys have no idea what's going on. I mean, it's a whirlwind of just weirdness for them because we go in at 10 o'clock at night and they wake up to it in the morning to come to the hospital. They're about to have their kid. And they've got radio stations calling them at the same time going, hey, what's going on? And they're like, well, Jared's having a kid. Jared's having a kid. You guys are also nominated for a Grammy. And at the same time, I'm in the delivery room not knowing any of this is happening, not knowing they're all on their way to the hospital, not knowing we're nominated for a Grammy. The phone rings. The nurse that's about to stick the epidural needle in my wife's back like a knife answers the phone. Mr. Reddick, I answer the phone. I'm like, hey, what's going on? This better be good. I'm in the middle of some serious shit.
Yeah.
My manager goes, dude, you're nominated for a Grammy. Okay, thanks, man. We'll see you later. He goes, no, really, you are nominated for a Grammy. Dude, seriously, I can't talk right now. Okay, but you're up against Dave Matthews, NSYNC, No Doubt, and Bon Jovi. All right, man, I'll talk to you later. I hang up. My wife goes, who was that? I go, it was Jeff Rowe. She starts crying. She's like, why would he call at a time like this? Well, I don't know. I'm nominated for a Grammy or some shit like that. Let's move on. And the nurses are like, what? You're nominated for a Grammy? I'm like, guys, can we please focus here and get this kid out of here? So, yeah, I mean, it was weird because it was like the Grammy thing sort of didn't soak in until later the next day where I was like, my email box was full and, you know, it was in the newspaper and really all that mattered to me was that, you know, that this little girl popped out of there, you know. So, yeah, it was a big day. She'd never forget her birthday, you know. Yeah. She couldn't. So.
Is that Emma you were?
Yeah, Emma was born that day, and you know, she just turned 3 last Saturday, which was cool. We had a big birthday party, and so she's fun. It's cool because now she can talk to me on the phone and tell me. She knows that I'm here doing she knows that her daddy sings songs for a living, so she'll say, you sing good for all the people, so you make them smile, Dad. And then, and she knows that I'm here after this. I'm doing some writing with some people. And so the other day she went to the computer and she got on the computer and Melissa said, what are you doing? And she said, I need to get on the computer. She said, well, I'll turn it on for you. What are you going to do? She said, well, I'm going to get on the computer and I'm going to write some songs so Daddy can come home early.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, so it just, you know, it's cool. She's getting a grasp on it, but. Yeah, that was a big day. It's a big day for all of us, you know. Mm-hmm. It's good stuff.
Does she listen to music? I know there's some cussing in some of the songs you obviously don't want to play for her, but
no, but you know what? But I'm kind of different. I mean, obviously I'm a pretty weird dad. I mean, I'm pretty strict on certain things, and we're a very structured family. Everything is structured. Obviously, everything is all obviously to the, you know, steered to the point of where we want her to be a good person and a happy person. But at the same time, it's like. You know, my parents were pretty open with my TV and with the songs I listen to. She's going to hear those words anyway, you know. So she knows what grown-up words are and what cool. Little kid words are, and she doesn't, you know. Honestly, it just passes right over her. But her favorite song, her favorite Bowling for Soup song is Almost, or the song that we did on Bowling for Soup Goes to the Movies that we submitted for Shrek 2, and I can't think of the name. Me never had a clue. Now me,
Live It Up.
Live It Up. So she likes Everybody Live It Up and Almost are her two favorite songs.
Cool.
She's a funny kid. She knows all the words.
Nice. You guys have drinking in both your album titles. Well, not both your album titles. 2 of the album titles.
Yeah.
Not Ghost of the Movies, but the next album. Probably going to have a theme about drinking, too?
By the way, we were drinking at the movies.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know. We're talking about it right now. We're tossing around some names for the record, and I think a couple of us are leaning one way and a couple of us are kind of undecided. So we'll see what happens. I mean, we haven't really started talking about those kind of things. I mean, right now, really, everybody's just sort of getting over the holidays and just, you know, some of us have had a little break, you know, and, you know, just sort of about to start getting back into it, and then we'll start narrowing in on that stuff. But, you know, basically what we name a record usually in Chris's hotel room at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Someone just says something stupid and everyone starts laughing and goes, "Oh, that's the new record."
Yeah, there it is. So we've got some really, really good ones, and some of them do involve drinking, but some of them don't. You know, I mean, and I sort of lean towards one that doesn't, and Chris leans towards one that does.
Well, there's also some that it wouldn't be obvious to anyone else that it does, but to us it does because that's where it came from.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
How far along is the record? Have you started anything with it?
We haven't started anything as a band. It's just sort of in the premature phase, which is basically nothing. It's just sort of ideas on a computer. And I have like 25 songs written, I think. And then,
really?
But I mean, I still have another 2 months to write. But last time we had 45 songs to choose from. We demoed 30. Chose the record from that, and it's weird because last time I feel like we made some wrong decisions. I think some of the things that we let go to the UK or Japan that could have been on the record, I feel like I wish we would have thought more about it. So I don't know. It's real weird, but I don't want to overthink it either. I mean, they're all good, you know.
You writing with anyone again? Is Bush going to be on it? How's it going to work?
Butch is supposed to be. We're supposed to go and do 2 songs with him, and he's supposed to produce those. But I mean, he's a busy guy, you know. And I mean, he's, you know, and I love just being a part of the fact that he's, you know, where he is. And if anybody deserves it in the world, it's him. But yeah, I wrote a song with Adam from Fountains of Wayne.
Oh, cool.
And Mitch Allen and I, who wrote in 1985, we're writing a few songs together, and just a few of those things and some of my own stuff. And you know, it's going to be good. And then you know, I just take all these ideas into the practice place, and then we all put our spin on it, and you know, we talk about it, and you know, it just sort of happens. It's weird.
Cool. Well, let's play another song. We mentioned Butch Walker, so what's your favorite song you worked with him on?
My favorite song that I ever worked with him on would be, I think, all of our favorite song, right? Last Call Casualty?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, the favorite Butch Jaret song of the band is Last Call Casualty.
Kind of a diamond in the rough, I think.
Yeah, definitely. We thought from the start that this song could have been a single. But, you know, when you have to deal with a label who's all about pop radio, which I'm not knocking pop radio again. I don't run from what pays the bills, but... you know, it's a little bit weird, you know, to try to convince people of something. But I think this is the best song we ever wrote together.
Really? Cool. Let's call it Casualty. 2 versions of Drunk Enough to Dance. When I bought it, Punk Rock 101 wasn't on it. And I remember the day I heard the song for the first time. It was in East Side Mario's. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It's like a little restaurant, kind of like this, but without a stage. And I was like, that sounds like Bowling for Soup, but it's not on my record. So why did that come about? Just to throw that song on the record as a second single?
We kind of had some new songs. I think we were hoping to put out like an EP or, you know, and our label kind of was against that and ended up saying, well, instead of doing an EP, let's just re-release the record. You know, you sold this many copies, let's put some more songs on it and try to sell some more.
They were a little freaked out by the success of it, too, because Girl the Bad Guys Won't happened so late. Like, the record had been out almost a year. We were going for a second single. And just like Gary said, I mean, the writing had already started for the next record, and it basically came down to, we had crossed over into pop radio. And, you know, this is all just industry bullshit, which we don't really read too much into. I mean, to us, we just are who we are. But they didn't think that the song that we had originally planned to be the second single was a song called Life After Lisa. And they didn't think that would have been a pop hit. And so, but we had the song Punk Rock 101 that Butch and I had written. And they were like, well, we just, let's put this out. And we wanted to release an EP. And they were like, well, we're not going to put out an EP. And so you can either put this on the album that already exists, or you can start all over and go make a new record. And I mean, you know, the album had only been out a year. Like, we were just coming off of what we thought was just a really successful year. And it was a hard decision because, at that point we had sold like 153,000 copies, and I felt like, man, I really feel like I'm
ripping that 153,000 people off.
yeah, I really feel like we're fucking them over. So the day we decided it, I wrote a thing on the website that said, if you've already bought our record, I'm sorry, we're about to re-release this record, and if you want these 2 songs, I'm sure you can find a way to get them without buying the record again. Wink, wink. And put that on the website, and I think that seemed to be enough for a lot of people.
No, that's what I did. I downloaded it. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think it's cool, like the illegal downloading of stuff, just ground music?
I think we kind of look at it as we're kind of cool with it, but we use it as more of a research tool. It's like if I hear a band and I'm not sure if I'm going to like them or not, I'll go download 2 or 3 songs, and if I like them, I'll go buy the record. But it's kind of painful to go spend the $14-15 on a record that you don't know if you're going to like or not.
I think with as easy as legal downloading is, I've changed my process, and obviously I have a job, so I can afford to spend $9.99 on a record, download. I don't really buy many CDs anymore. I mean, I've got to really love the band and want to read the artwork. I mean, everything is iTunes for me, and I do it all legally because I'm hoping that people are doing that for us. That being said, man, I was homeless once. I was homeless when this band started. So was Gary, I mean, I didn't have any money. And I did go out and research and download 2 or 3 songs from a band. Mest was one of them. I went and downloaded one day I heard of Mest, and I'd never heard them before. And I went and downloaded all their shit, and I liked it. So I went and bought their records in the store. And, to me, it's like, and I've always said this, it's like, if all you like of Bowling Pursuit is 1985, the bitch song Almost, and Girl the Bad Guys Want, I just get it however you want to get it. I mean, I'd love to have the 99 cents, which we get about 0.0003 of, but it really looks good, for us to get a legal download of. But if you're not, I really don't care. But if you like more than 2 songs on a record, go buy the album. I mean, the bands, as negatively as people look on the record industry these days, and how we all think that the man is out to get us, and we shouldn't have to pay $18.99 for a CD. There are still artists that are really working hard out there, and you make a living by making music. And a lot of us are sort of in a situation where if we don't sell records, we're not going to make music anymore. I mean, or at least at the level that we are now. So it's tough, but you got to get it. You got to get it. Whatever.
Cool.
But I think iTunes is awesome, and songs are $1 a piece. And I'm not getting paid to say this, I swear to God. But I just downloaded all the Hot Heat albums. They're all amazing.
Another Canadian band. Awesome.
Chiefs.
Well, play Punk Rock 101. You guys can.
It's a song called Punk Rock 101. This was written in a drunken stupor in Atlanta, Georgia. And during it, when the bridge came up, I swear to God, it's a true story. The Bon Jovi video for "Living on a Prayer" actually did come on, and that's why it's referenced loosely in the song.
Did you just say that?
Did you just say that?
I love that.
I said it's stupid.
You worked with the guys from Fastball. They're going to be on the show in a couple of weeks. You got any cool stories I can make fun of them about at all?
I don't. I do have a story. We didn't really hang out a ton. I went to Austin for a couple of days. And wrote first with I first hooked up with Tony, and I went into his house, and it was just crazy, man. It was like his wife had like scrapbooks and stuff all over the living room. It was just it was like, I mean, Matt, like they just had a meeting for the scrapbook thing, and his kids were there, and like it was just crazy, and it was nuts. And he's like, well, we got to move. We're gonna go over to Miles' house. All right, let's go to Miles' house. The first thing Miles ever said to me was, "Hey, can you move your car?" And I was just like, man, this is a great start. But we went in, we wrote a song. They're just such amazing guys. But I mean, they make, I think they're one of the greatest bands ever in the history of the world. And they're so underrated and so off the map and just amazing. So, but yeah, and then the next day after that, we got together again. We got together over at Tony's house, and he was watching his little boy. And his boy, right in the middle of writing the music for friends of mine, we wrote the music to friends of mine together. But I left with, and I wrote the lyrics later. And his son made a poopy while air guitaring while we were making that. So we had to pause for a second so he could go change the diaper. But probably won't find a bigger fastball fan than yours truly or us as a band. We're pretty much as good as it gets, and not just because they're from Texas, because they're just amazing.
Are they really? I didn't know that. I haven't done any research yet for it.
Austin, Texas, in the house, or in your house when you do the interview.
At the Viper Room. Should be cool.
First place I ever saw him live, actually. First place I ever
Was it
saw
the
him
Viper Room?
at the Viper Room. Yeah.
I can't wait. I've never been in there, so it's gonna be.
It's gonna be good.
The room's about this big.
Really?
Yeah, it's about as big as this dressing room, and there's naked chicks everywhere. Johnny Depp comes out and does scenes from What's Eating Gilbert Grape. It's fucking great.
That's where Guns N' Roses got discovered, right? Is it there or whiskey?
The whiskey.
It's whiskey. Oh.
Whiskey a go-go.
Pretty cool club too. I want to talk about Ohio, which is my favorite song on the last record. The breakdown, was it actually live or was it done in the studio and just kind of screwing around?
First, I should tell you how the breakdown was written. I wrote that song in L.A. with my friend Zach Malloy and a guy named Ted Bruner. We were in the Rondor Publishing Studios, and I was just like right in the middle of writing that song. I said, "Man, I got to take a shit." I mean, and like I can't wait till we're done writing this. I got to take a shit right now. So
That's
I went.
gross. I can't believe you do that.
I know. People shit, Gary.
No, that's weird.
So, do you need to get a beer? Oh, you're cool. And so during my shitting, Zach came in and he was like, "You know what we should do?" And you can hear him start to pee. He goes, "We should like start to give shout outs to people, like other people who want you to come back." And I'm like, "What? Like Willie Nelson and Troy Aikman?" And we literally wrote the whole thing sitting there while I was shitting and he was peeing. And that's how it went down. And what was the question, though? What did you
live version.
Oh, the live version. Yeah.
That was cool, too.
So, on the saloon part, that is us and like 4 of our friends in Atlanta, drunker than skunks, and we recorded it and looped it back like 3 times, playing it live in the studio, so like it multiplies itself by like a bunch and a bunch and a bunch. And it was cool. It was fun. By the last time we did it, none of us even knew the words, I think.
It was fun. We had asked the intern, Sean, "Hey, Sean, can you get some chicks to come up here?" So, it's not just a bunch of dudes. And he came through with 2, I think.
Yeah.
But they were 2 really good chicks. So,
yeah, he was good.
Yeah. So, that added a little bit of the dynamic, but it's still a bunch of dudes.
So at the end of the album, we do the reprise, right? Where we actually go back and we revisit that. And what we did with that was Chris, who had slept through most of the making of the album.
Most of the making of the band existing.
Band existing, right. We were just like, well, fuck, let's give Chris something to do. Chris, research a bunch of people from Texas. So he came up with these 3 lists. And what we did, we made copies of them. We passed them out randomly. And we did 3 28-minute passes of us just saying, so-and-so wants you back. Well, now that's obviously well over an hour of us drinking the whole time. So when you hear it come in, that's like the second start because we were already pissed off or whatever. And by the 3rd time, it's all the drunken ones or whatever. And it's all kind of edited together to make it flow a little bit better. But it is all real. That all, none of it was put together. Just good stuff.
Cool. Well, let's play Ohio.
Ohio. Come back to Texas.
I want to talk about Hangover for a second. Just 17 tracks on it, plus bonus tracks. Most albums have like 11 or 12 tracks. And like you said earlier, paying $14, $15 for a CD when there's only 12 tracks, not so cool. But 17, and the CD fits 80 minutes.
Yeah.
Why don't all bands
71
just
minutes.
Throw 17 songs in there, 18 songs?
Well,
Why
because
12?
the true answer is that business wise, it's hard for bands to put more than 12 songs on, and nowadays 11. Basically, what the deal is that your publishing company who owns the actual the rights to your songs when they're played or bought, and then your record company who actually own the songs themselves will only pay you for 11 songs per album. So
Really?
a band who puts out a song with an album with 16, 17 songs, they're only getting paid for 11. Now, if they didn't write all 16 of those songs, they're only getting paid for however many they wrote minus 11. So the math gets real complicated, and it's really hard. And not, it's not a greed thing with bands. A lot of times it's like a delivery commitment. For example, you have to write a certain amount of your record based on your record contract. So if you put 15 songs, and on 5 of them you only wrote 20% of it or 30% of it because you were in the room with 2 other dudes when you wrote it, and you have an 80% record delivery commitment, you didn't deliver an album, so that album basically doesn't count. So it gets a little complicated. So that's basically the bottom line. I mean, it's not laziness. I mean, I think most bands have a lot of material, that they wish was out there, that they wish people had, but it's hard in this industry. I mean, an album for some reason in this world is supposed to be 11 songs, and then they want to charge $18.99. And to me, it's like record deals should be like, look, put as many as you want. We'll make that the divider, and we'll go with it.
We kind of got frustrated a few years ago. There's 3 or 4 records right in a row that we had all bought, and it's nothing knocking the band. It's just the way it goes. But you buy that many records at $13 a pop, and they're 27 minutes long. You're like, man, what happened?
I think the one that really freaked us all out was the Weezer Green album, which we all just loved so much, but it was 32 minutes long, and it just freaked me out because it's just like, I want to be left wanting more and everything, but then all of a sudden, then there's a new record that comes out after that, and it's like, man, I'm into it, and I love both records, and believe me, I'm not knocking Weezer for this, and I think that they probably as a business decision, they made the right choice, but, as a fan, I was so bummed, because I was like, man, it's like, I want to hear you for 45. I waited 2 years for a record.
Well, not only that, it's like if you buy a record, and I stick it in my car and listen to it and listen to it and listen to it and let it soak in, and I like it more and more. It's like, well, they put out another one right then, so you got to go get the new one. You haven't really gotten into that first one yet,
So it's hard, man. But but again, I mean, there's no real wrong decision from the band standpoint. It just, it is what it is, and we chose last album to take a break and take a risk, and we did. So.
What was cool about Weezer, though, is that they threw all the demos from Maladroit all on the internet and said, choose our songs, whatever. Here's everything we did.
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to be the future of music, basically?
I think we're going to do that this time. We're going to put demos up, and we're going to say, what do you think of this? And see, I mean, it's just now you're so in touch now with people. I mean, it's weird. Today I dissolved our Yahoo group. You used to have these groups, these Yahoo groups, where people could come and talk about you. And now it's obsolete. I mean, now our Yahoo group says, "Come visit our MySpace."
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like,
MySpace is huge.
It's huge. I mean, it's bigger than we can possibly grasp.
And so fast, how quick that thing just blew up. Yeah.
At least,
Canada, it's been longer than that, but I mean, I've had an account for 6 months, and I mean, I can't keep up with it now.
While we were making the record, though, Midtown had just been in Butch's studio, and the girl, Christy, who ran Butch's place, was telling us, oh, you guys got to get a MySpace, you got to check this out, like, you're not going to believe this, and, like, we just listened to her do it, and I was like, I'm not touching that shit.
That doesn't sound like anything I even want to be involved with.
Dudes are hitting on her and sending her pictures of their dicks and stuff, and it's just like, okay. This is just weird.
That was a good one.
Thank you. So, on a whim, the girl that runs our street team, I was like, just set us up a MySpace and see what happens. And literally, it got so out of control so fast. She was like, you're not going to believe this. And there was like a fictional Bowling Pursuit site that someone had set up saying they were us, and it was out of control too. Huh. So, I mean, and literally now we just can't do it. I mean, we try to keep up with it, but it's impossible.
Do you think this whole thing is going to get rid of the whole album concept?
I don't think so. I mean, I think at the end of the day, people want to hear an album, and they will. I mean, I think there's going to be better outlets. I think that now you'll be able to buy, 4-song collections on iTunes, or this band's going to put this out, or you're going to get to see a live version of it for free, or yada yada. I mean, the record companies are going to play the game, but at the end of the day, I mean, I still think it's cool when somebody comes out with a new album and I get to buy it and I have all their new songs. I mean, think that shit's great. I don't know.
It's cool to pick up the album cover and read through it and see who produced it and who played, violin on this song and who did what. And, you can read through the thank yous and be like, oh, this band's friends with that band. And I still like to do that. I think that's interesting.
I think buying CDs will go away. And here's why I think that. CDs came out 21 to 22 years ago. Michael Jackson Thriller, they used to be gold. They would hang them on the wall back behind the counter at your favorite store to go buy cassettes and 8-tracks. And you could only buy like the Eagles' greatest hits and Michael Jackson Thriller and a few things. And they came out, I believe it was 80. Yeah, anyway, it's 21, 22 years ago. That's the longest any kind of like medium for music has ever been on top. Dude, how long did cassettes last? They were here for a while. No. Not 15 years. Because if they lasted up until CDs, well, 8-tracks were ruling until what, 78, 79? And the transition between those two was 5 years long. Some of us had just converted to cassettes and like CDs were sort of showing up. You know what I mean? So, look, CDs hung on a long time, and they're still going to be around, but they're going to go by the wayside. It's going to be a digital world, but I still do think that the album is going to be, a collection of songs with a collection of pictures and a collection of here's what we're doing right now has got to be the way that it is. Otherwise, we're all just going to be sitting around in a fucking studio jacking each other off like, well, what do you want to come up with next to sell everybody for 99 cents?
Man. How many more CDs do you have left on your contract right now?
I have no earthly idea. I think it's 2, but I really don't care. We signed a really small record deal on purpose because we didn't really want it to be about like, what we were going to do in 10 years. It was always about what we're doing right now. Let's have fun, and let's make records as long as we want to. And now, it's funny because nowadays it's like everybody, well, we're going to get dropped. We're going to, we really, dude, we got dropped today. We could still make a living at this.
I was just thinking, once you're an established band, you don't really need a record label.
You really don't these days. You sort of do. Now, because radio still plays a role in the music business, you still do have to have a record label because you have to have money to go play shows for no money, and you still have to be able to promote yourself, and promoting yourselves can be pretty expensive on a bigger level. But what's awesome now is like if you're in the 8th grade and you start a band, you can get on MySpace, you can build a website, you can make CDs now for 37 cents.
You can be in Chicago and someone in Bogota can be listening to your band,
We did not have $129 Stratocasters when we first started, you know what I mean? Like, we just didn't. And, I think it's great. I think because of that, I think we'll see a lot more music that's great and things will be ever-changing, and I think we'll see a lot of fucked up, really, really crappy shit along the way too that finds its way out there to us, but it's survival of the fittest and uniqueness, and at the end of the day we don't fit into any category, and I thank my lucky stars.
I don't like categorizing music to begin with. Movies, TV shows, that seems to be where it's kind of headed now to promote bands, because radio's kind of dying off, which is a shame because I'm not going to have a career in the future, but that's a whole other story.
I don't think radio's going to die. I really don't. I think at the end of the day we all want to tune into something and hear something.
Well, radio in the way we see it now.
It's definitely
radio and internet radio.
But it's going to change, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to die, and I don't think it's going to die because, look, local radio will never die for the same reason that local TV will never die. It's the same reason why if you back 15 years ago, or I'm sorry, 10 years ago even, were to get direct TV and you didn't have the local channels, it's the same reason why you'd be frustrated right now if you only had satellite radio. It's like you want somebody local talking to you and telling you what's going on, like what's happening in Dallas right now, like what's the weather, like what's the traffic like, what in the fuck is the mayor doing? You know what I mean? You have to have those kind of things. To me, I just don't think it's ever going to go away. Is it going to change? Yeah, but everything changes, that's just the way it is. And you know, it's weird because I think it's going to become. It's going to become a deal where it's going to be back to, you know, it's less of like what they want to give us and more of what we want them to give us. You know.
Mm-hmm. Let's play a song off. Oh, sorry.
And I think that's good.
That was a great commercial for capitalism that you just did.
It is good, right?
It's what we want, not what they're willing to give us. Yeah.
Right, but isn't that what radio has become? It's like I think it's frustrating, especially from, you know, I mean,
Music fan standpoint.
from a music fan standpoint, but also from being a guy who's in a band who has really worked hard and who really, I think, has played the game to an extent, but yet, you know, to the extent that we really want to play the game, you know, because we really don't give a shit. But, you know, it's weird. I don't understand why my song 1985 wasn't on the radio in L.A. I don't understand why my song Ohio was on the radio here and not here and here and here. Like, I don't understand the politics behind it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And, you know, I think eventually it'll go back to what people want to hear and whether or not Chicago makes a touchdown here. Even.
Well, let's play a song off the latest record, Goes to the Movies. What do you guys want to hear?
Long Pursuit Goes to the Movies. We already played Star Song.
Let's do.
We should do Live It Up.
Okay.
This song that we originally submitted to be the. We submitted 2 songs to be the theme song for Shrek 2, and one of them was this song called Live It Up, and one of them was. What was the other one? Oh, Trucker Hat. It was Trucker Hat was the other one, yeah. And but the Counting Crows wrote a way better song than both of these songs.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, totally, dude. That strawberry ice cream shit is fucking great, man. I love that song.
I'm a Counting Crows fan, and that's
I like that song. It's the only happy song he's ever written. It's good
That's
to
a good
hear him.
point.
It's good to hear him like singing another perspective. So I'm into it.
You know what? The Grammy performance ruined it for me. They were awful.
Oh, he's not a real good live guy.
Oh, he was.
I think the fact that I think he can sing. I just don't like the whole deal where you change everything
And he
up
talks
all the
everything
time.
through,
You know,
yeah.
I don't like that. Like I like the audience to be able to sing with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Cool.
that's good. So anyway, so this is
Live It Up.
Live It Up.
We do this thing every week on the show called 5 Questions, 5 quick questions, 1-word answers. You guys pretty much answered the first one: iPod or CDs?
iPod.
Lennon or McCartney?
Lennon.
Lennon.
Alcohol or marijuana?
Alcohol.
Song you've written you're most proud of?
Friends of mine.
It's been a long time since I've written a song.
Yeah, but you've had something to do with all the BFS songs.
Yeah.
What's your favorite song to be a part of?
Oh God. I'll say Two-Seater is an awesome song.
Oh,
I
that's
like that one.
Cool.
Oh, we should play that one tonight.
Yeah, you should. And 1 word, Bowling Pursuit.
Drunk.
Since you said drunk, I'll say fun.
Cool.
Funny.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's good.